I also saw Madam Web, y'all. Madam Web's been getting a lot of slack, bro, but yo, Madam Web was better than Aquaman 2, bro. Like Aquaman 2 had one cool fight scene, bro. This movie, I felt like it was shot on a Netflix camera or something. And it felt more like a TV show vibe than an actual movie, but I feel like it was a different way to shoot a superhero movie because she didn't really have powers, right? But um my only issue is this is like, okay, so she can see the future, but that doesn't mean that the future's on her side. Like how come it was all of a sudden like she was able to say, yo, let's run over here, we're gonna duck below this bullet. Like I don't know. It seemed a little bit too like there was something else helping her. Like the movie didn't just seem like, oh, this is this girl who can see the future and that's how she is, beating the bad guy. It was like, yo, she can see the future and then also she can like pick almost like, Doctor Strange could see infinite features or something like that. It was almost like she was tapping into that, but they should have explained it a little bit more. And then the part where this is a spoiler. It's not a spoiler free review, by the way. So if you're gonna go see the movie, exit now. The part where like she can like basically clone herself, I thought that was pretty cool. I like that's the thing is that I feel like this is why the comic book comics got lame in the first place is because they just have it's like they're just doing too much now. Like there's eventually it's just not interesting. Like we kind of like the idea of a superhero. Like that's just a cool idea in itself. Like we don't need to know the superheroes affairs and the love interests and the friends and then the superhero the boss and the boss is like they don't need to know all that. We don't need a story for every single the janitor, and then the janitor has a spin-off, and then the dog has a spin-off show, and like we don't really that's not really too interesting. We want to move on. Let's see a war movie now, or let's see like vampires. It's just kind of like these different fantastical ideas that are just kind of interesting on the surface level. But then when you kind of if you get too detailed with it, then it just becomes kind of like boring and like it's like uh I don't know, it just gets kind of redundant. Like, we've the only thing is like we've seen so many Spider-Man movies, bro. They got way too many Spider-Man movies. I saw Into the Spider-Verse. Um, the first one was way better. I felt like this was a parody of the first one. Like they're just like, oh yeah, this movie was funny. Remember when we did this in the other movie? Oh yeah, remember when the funny we did funny joke? And I was like, you could have made something totally new and original, which I think you got to try and do. But I don't know, it's a business as well. So, and in the Spider Verse, I know we're supposed to talk about Madam Web. Well, okay, so this makes sense. And Into the Spider Verse, they use that like glitchy stuff way too much. Like they should have just kept that idea for that, and like I don't know, man. But the Madam Web, it was cool, man. Um, I also so the villain has a vision that he gets beat up by like these three superheroes, which are the girls that Madam Web saves. Um, what's it called? So in his vision, they're in the superhero costume. So that's kind of what you see during the promotion. But in the actual movie, they're never in superhero costumes, and they don't even have powers in the movie. So um, yeah, I don't know, man. I enjoyed watching it though, because you got to remember, you're watching a movie. Like that's what I'm very aware of. It's like, yo, I'm watching a movie, so I'm not really looking for too much like lore, I guess you could say, too much detail. Oh, this is supposed to be like this. And it's like, bro, I'm just here trying to waste 2 hours, bro. That's just it, man. And I got Regal Pass, so why am I tripping? All right, let's go see what the people have to say about Madam Web. Madam Web review.
I just saw Madam Web, and one of my favorite things in the world is when I love a movie that nobody else likes, that's getting terrible reviews. It feels like you have something very special
This is my top bro right here. You know what I'm saying?
all to yourself. I'm sorry to report that that did not happen. This movie's
Oh, that's a good Rickroll. That's a good Rickroll.
terrible. Like in a way that almost makes you angry. Scientifically, it should be studied. How do you take so many beautiful
Oh yeah, that girl. What's her name? The girl from that one stuff that everyone likes, or whatever. She sucks as an actress. I'll just have to say that.
talented people in spider suits and combine them into something so completely devoid of entertainment? It would be hard to try to do that. There is simply no way the studio watched the dailies, the rough cut, the final cut, and said every step of the way, fucking nailed it. The only thing that needs to be said, the most important takeaway from this whole debacle, was said by Jay Stoops in her review. Go watch it if you haven't seen it, but essentially, and I'm paraphrasing, this is what happens when executives who don't even like movies, much less comic books, are in charge of crafting a story for an audience they don't respect, that they just see as a product. I don't know anything about the story of Madam Web as it exists in canon, and I still don't after watching the entire movie. This movie felt like the bad prequel that would be made 6 years after a successful good movie, except that that movie never happened. Because like the Dakota Johnson Professor Xavier with the Spider Lady team, that's a movie I'd like to see. A lot of people have said it already, but it's worth mentioning that one of the core characters, almost all of their dialogue is ADR, and it's done very poorly, like a bad anime dub. It was recorded after the fact and inserted later. Like they just didn't care. Honestly,
You know what? That's interesting because with the villain, I could tell that the voice acting was off. That's crazy that yeah, man, I thought something was fishy with that.
Dakota Johnson and much of the cast do their best to make this entertaining and cohesive with the stilted dialogue that they're given. And they almost succeed. Madam Web's real name is Webb, by the way, and she has an affinity for spiders, so that's ironic, except that Mark Webb directed Spider-Man movies, so that happens in real life, so that's fine. There are 5 writers credited on this movie. The main 2 screenwriters, their entire body of work is Morbius, the 2017 Power Rangers, Gods of Egypt,
It did have a little Power Rangers feel to it. Dude, how can they mess up Sydney Sweeney? Oh, sorry. Oh, it's crazy, man. Yeah, that dude's kind of big, big time yapping.
I just saw Madam Web. This video goes out to the director. This video goes out to the screenwriter. This video goes out to Dakota Johnson, Sydney Sweeney, every single actor. The fucking bagel man that I knew came and supplied these fuckers bagels. Fuck you. Simply fuck you. I don't fucking care that you made this movie. I don't care.
Nah, man, y'all are hating on it way too much, bro.
So let's talk about Madam Web because I saw this movie last night, and full transparency, I went to the red carpet premiere. I met Shamik Moore, aka Miles Morales, meaning that I have officially met all 4 feature-length movie Spider-Man. I was on a little bit of a high. Still struggling to find something nice to say about this movie. I don't make a habit of bashing superhero movies, but I just have to say it because it's true. This is one of the worst superhero movies that I've seen in a long time. I went to this movie not expecting much with an open mind, and I still walked out of it going, what did I just watch? A lot of the dialogue is so questionable. It feels like you're playing a video game and they're teaching you how to play the video game because characters just say what's on their mind and it just comes out feeling awkward. There's this weird editing choice where every time the camera got on a new person, it would go like this. It was like, is that TikTok editing? Characters make really questionable and dumb decisions. The bad guy is one of the most generic bad guys out there. Also, the movie is very badly ADR. Like, there's clearly a lot of scenes that were, like, recorded after it was already shot. So a lot of what is being said on screen is not matching up to what's coming out of their mouths. It's like you're watching a weird kung fu flick. And the
No, facts, bro,
movie
facts.
literally stops, like screeches to a halt to give you Spider-Man references. Hey, Ben Parker, you're seeing a new girl? What's her name? Oh, must be serious. Stuff like that.
I didn't know that was Peter Parker though. Like I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I will say this. A lot of you guys
Or what's his name? The dad.
were worried that Spider-Man wasn't going to factor into the plot enough, but I'm going to just let you know, he does. Just not in the way that you expect. I did like the way that Sydney Sweeney, Celeste O'Connor, and Isabella Merced interacted with each other. Dakota Johnson does get 1 or 2 moments to shine. There's a baby shower scene that I actually really liked, but I'm sorry, it's misguided. That's
There was sometimes there was kind of some funny stuff, bro, because she was funny, bro. She was like awkward, funny girl. Wasn't Madam Web old lady in the comics? Okay, so this movie was technically shot in like the early 2000s. That's the time period. So her friend, she's friends with Peter Parker's mom, and Peter Parker's mom. It's funny because Peter Parker's mom's played by Emma Roberts, and what's it called? So she's pregnant, and that's the thing, and so she's pregnant with freaking Peter Parker. And so Richard Michael's saying that wasn't Madam Web more much like Aunt May, a very old lady in the comics? That would make sense that during this time period, when Peter Parker's like, 17, Madam Web would be getting older. She'll be older now. So shoot, I'm just here for the movies, bro. I'm not here trying to like freaking decide if I'm gonna be an angel investor in these freaking films, bro.
This was the first time that my integrity as a creator was called into question, and I'm not gonna lie, I almost failed. Not only did I get a chance to go to the premiere, I also got to interview S.J. Clarkson, which is the director, whose work I admire. She did Jessica Jones, and I love that show. So it was really hard for me to make this review because this movie is so bad.
Everyone's just trashing the movie, man. You guys are trash. I want to see you guys make a movie. How about that? Over here hating. All right, guys, that's all we have for the podcast.